So let's just take a couple of deep breaths and get in a comfortable position, whatever position is comfortable for you. And either gently close your eyes or soften your gaze and take a few deep breaths, exhaling and just letting go of the day. Letting your body settle in, relaxing those muscles, letting any tension just kind of melt off of you with every exhale. So continuing to take a few deep breaths, noticing your body settle a little bit more with every exhale, releasing tension, noticing if your mind is still busy from the day. And if so, just focusing on the breath moving in and out of the lungs. And those thoughts will begin to quiet down, slowing down like your breath and your body. We might do a body scan, just starting at the top of the head and moving downward. Just intentionally letting any tension go from those muscles, your jaw muscle, your shoulders, your arms are hanging heavy on your lap or at your side. And you feel heavy in your seat, your legs relaxing, just allowing your body to be at rest. And you might notice the sensations in your body. You may feel some tingling, maybe in your hands or your legs. You may feel your pulse. And noticing too the movement of the body as you breathe in and out. And remaining focused on the breath, just experiencing that entire breath in and the entire breath out. Following that entire breath and the cycle of it in and out, and still being aware of your body. How your body is relaxing, moving with the breath. Well, that was a nice settling in meditation. You just arrive and let go of the day. So we're going to talk a little bit about mindfulness today, the basics of mindfulness. So the Buddha cautioned his students against thinking of him as a god, and he also didn't condone idol worship. Um, he wanted to serve as an example of the fact that by training the mind, one could discover lasting happiness and even achieve enlightenment. We don't have to be a monk to achieve enlightenment or a nun. Anybody can. It's just a matter of practicing being aware. And that's what mindfulness is. The first teaching of the Buddha was on what we call mindfulness. That's our translation. And this was his teachings on the Satipatthana in the Majjhima Nikaya Sutta number 10, in case anyone's interested in reading that. I taught on that earlier this year, the four foundations of mindfulness. And sati loosely translates to mindfulness or awareness. It's part of the concentration path taught in the Eightfold Path. And as we understand it, the Buddha's definition of sati was pretty straightforward. It means keeping something in mind, being aware of now. So you're continuously remembering the object that you're aiming to keep your attention on. So when I'm talking about mindfulness of the breath in meditation, for example, I'm talking about remembering the breath, remembering that we're breathing, maintaining that awareness of the breath, which is why sometimes I'll say, breathing in, I know I'm breathing in, breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. Just to remind us that we do need to focus on that. I know I'm breathing in, I'm very aware of the breath. And this is a great training because the breath is portable, it's always with us. And we can focus on that. And it kind of lets everything else fall away. All the other thoughts that are up chattering back there, they kind of fall away. And we learn to focus on one thing. So the breath is a really great way to start. Other meanings the Buddha connected with mindfulness in his discourses were being alert, being ardent, being intent, and experiencing with comprehension. So when you're reading the suttas, they often begin with "it is taught thus," and then there's a story. And there's the monks that he's speaking to who are sitting alert, ardent, and intense. So it's very important, I think, those words, because he's really helping us learn to be alert, to be aware, to be ardent, to be have some action involved, some effort involved in it, and with intent, within the intent of learning how to do this, how to focus on one thing at a time, and being aware of our movements and how we move through the world. So mindfulness is not just some kind of bare attention. Ultimately, it's a way of training the mind that's integral to all the other elements of the Buddhist practice, right? And you don't have to be a Buddhist practitioner to do mindfulness. I think meditation is a great way to train our mind to focus, to release all of the extra stuff that doesn't matter. And that in itself helps us build that awareness to be really focusing on what we're doing. And it helps us also discern whether what we're participating in is helpful and healthy and wise, or if it's not. And if it's not, then we can make that choice to let it go and step into more wise behavior. So mindfulness is involved in living ethically. For instance, by following the 5 precepts that are suggested to lay people, it helps keep us on that ethical path, remembering that we're not going to cause harm or kill, remembering we're not going to use false or unwise speech, we're not going to steal or take what is not freely given, and we're not going to be sexually irresponsible, and to not partake in intoxicants that can cause poor behavior and lead to all of the other things we're trying not to partake in, right? So intoxicants can really be the stumbling block for a lot of this practice of not causing harm, not using false speech, not stealing, not being sexually irresponsible. Intoxicants can really get in the way of that. So I think it's important to just keep that in mind. And I'm not saying don't drink a glass of wine or something. I'm just saying be aware of what your body's doing. If you do have a drink, be aware of what your mind is doing. Um, and that awareness is really important. Part of the recovery groups that I belong to, that's what they talk about, is just being very aware of what this stuff does to our behavior and our thinking. And not only that, is it detrimental to our body? Sometimes yes, sometimes it is, and sometimes not. So there's no judgment that we need to involve. There's no criticism that we need to involve with ourselves. It's just being conscious of our movements in life, how we interact with people, and how we take care of ourselves. So being mindful of our behavior, remembering or being mindful of how we want to live, being aware of the choices we make and what the consequences are likely to be of those choices. Sometimes they're great consequences, and sometimes not so much. It's also worth remembering that the Buddha never said that mindfulness can solve our problems. It's just one skill among many that he taught on the path leading to the cessation of suffering. So we practice meditation to use our mindfulness muscle, right? We're exercising that mindfulness muscle. We become aware of when we have a thought. We become aware of what that thought was about. And we're also aware of when we get caught in the stories we tell ourselves. Rather than focusing more on the truth, we can easily get caught up in those stories. And most of the things we tell ourselves have a bit of truth to them, but often we kind of go off into this other made up world that could be instead of what is. It's so easy to do, and I think we all do it. It's part of being human. But it doesn't really benefit us to tell ourselves stories. Our mind is just playing that game. It's made that way to make sense of the world when it doesn't understand something. So, meditation and mindfulness are really incredibly practical for our regular everyday lives. And it's also, like I said, accessible to anyone, anywhere, anytime. What meditation will not do is it will not banish every thought from your head. You won't solve all your problems. It's not magic. It's a tool that we use to just enhance our life and live a better life. So this mindfulness practice that we use in our meditation is simply an aid on the path to creating a happier life, a more satisfying life, not just for us individually, but also for everyone we come into contact with. And here's what often happens instead when we're practicing meditation and we're practicing mindfulness in that meditation. We might notice less mental chatter that leads to that sense of inner peace and calm and groundedness. And our focus and attentiveness tends to improve. So we're not so foggy in our thinking. As you notice, when you get distracted and practice returning to the moment you're in right now, that happens less and less. There's less distraction. And you might begin to more deeply understand the thoughts and beliefs and habits that not only bring you pain and suffering, but those habits that we can create that bring us more peace and calm. We can let go of stress easier. We can recover more easily from life's triggers and stressors. It's just a great tool because after a while, it's just second nature. It just kind of kicks in by itself rather than the old habits taking over, which they'll continue to try to do. But we can always make the choice. Oh, there I go again in the old habits. Why don't I pause that and be mindful of this? What's going on? What are these thoughts? Why am I having them? Do I need to right now? Can I take a breath and let that go? So when we do this, we're also feeling more connection and empathy toward other people. We're not so judgmental. We're not so divided. We don't really care so much about that stuff because we have no control over anyone else's thoughts. We can only take care of our thoughts. And when we do that, we can choose to be more connected and more empathetic and more understanding. And we can choose to practice the kindness of letting other people live the life they live and be the example, because people will probably ask you eventually, what's different about you? You seem so happy and at peace. It's noticeable after a while. And then you can share that with them. I meditate. I practice mindfulness. It's really simple. It's not a religion. You don't have to be afraid of it. It's just something that we can practice and do for ourselves. And it really does make a big difference in how we feel every day. A couple of books I want to recommend. One of my favorite mindfulness books is Joseph Goldstein's Mindfulness. It's a really good book for mindfulness. You could read it over and over and over again and always get something new. It's just a practical guide to mindfulness. And the other one is from Abaya Giri, and you can order this online. Abaya Giri is a monastery in Redwood Valley, and it's called More Than Mindfulness. And these are free. You just have to email them and send them your address and tell them you want this book. And they always appreciate a donation, of course, but it's not necessary. It's a really, really good book. Very simple, easy to understand. Then let's take a couple of deep breaths and settle in, comfortable in whatever position is best for you. That could be laying down, sitting up, standing. Doesn't really matter. As long as you're awake and you don't fall asleep. And we take a couple of deep breaths, exhaling and relaxing. And let's begin with the body. And notice as we settle into our seat, the body sensations, the actual feeling, physical feeling that we have. Our seat in the chair, being supported. Noticing that contact point. And you can notice the feeling of support. You can notice the different temperature. Maybe it's warm because you're sitting on a cushion. And it may be soft or firm. Maybe you're leaning back or lying down and feeling those contact points. And if you're sitting in a chair, keeping your feet flat on the floor, noticing the surface contact. It may be cool or warm, or soft or hard. Or if you're sitting on a cushion, you can notice how your legs and feet are touching the cushion or the floor. And being aware of these physical sensations helps us develop that mindfulness. We're aware of the contact points. We're aware of the temperature differences, the texture differences. And even just noticing your hands in your lap. In your mind's eye, you might just picture the shape of your hands and how they're being held. Noticing any sensation in your fingers or your palms. And then scanning through your body, maybe starting at the top of your head and intentionally relaxing your scalp and your eyebrow, your eyes and cheeks, ears. Relaxing the mouth and the throat, and the tongue. And the neck and the shoulders. And as you're doing this relaxing, what kind of sensations are you noticing? Noticing maybe there might be some stiffness. Maybe you notice the actual physical relaxation, the letting go of those muscles. They begin to soften a bit. And thinking of your arms being so relaxed and your hands, fingers. Noticing your lungs just breathing naturally and your belly soft. And keeping your abdomen relaxed and your thighs, pelvis, and your lower body just feeling very heavy and relaxed. And your knees and your calves and ankles, your feet and toes. And what kind of sensations are you feeling in your body? And you can notice the movement of your body as you breathe. And focusing on that breath, just notice the entire breath in from the tip of your nose. As the air passes through your nostrils, you have a sensation in the nostrils. And notice the back of the throat as you breathe in. Often can feel the air in the back of the throat. And the lungs expanding. What happens when your lungs expand? Do you notice your belly expand as well? Your diaphragm? Maybe your shoulders go up. And exhaling, the movement, the air outward, lungs contract. And you notice the different temperature in the air as it leaves your body, flowing through your nostrils or your mouth. It's much warmer. We can focus on the breath and we can focus on the body since the body is breathing. We can just be with the entire body as we sit and relax, watching the movement of the breath moving in and out of the body. Observing the natural flow, that natural rhythm, the ebb and flow. And where are your thoughts? Following the breath, observing the body. We're caught in a story. And without judgment, without criticism, if you go into a story, just come back to the breath. Just let the story go. Come back to the breath and the body. And again, if your mind has drifted into story, just coming back again and again to the breath. We begin over and over. And by not getting caught in the story, by not practicing judgment, we're practicing that mindfulness, that awareness that we want to bring with us through each day. How do we want to be in the world? What kind of things do we want to add to our life to make it more joyful? And what can we let go of that's habitual that may not bring us joy? We can make a commitment to ourselves and to practice our meditation each day. Just simply this, practicing being aware of the body and the breath, practicing being aware of the thoughts as they come, and then discerning whether they're positive thoughts, or they're helpful and wise, or are they thoughts that don't bring benefit? We can let those go. And the more we practice letting those go, the less they feel invited in. It brings a deeper sense of peace. It helps us to move in life, discussions with other people in a more genuine, caring way. So when we come to the world each day, we can bring the gift of awareness, the gift of choosing to be kind, the gift that we can give ourselves being kind, taking a nature walk, absorbing all the beauty in the world. And if we find we've gotten caught in focusing in something negative, we can learn to just laugh at that. We've caught it. Now we can let that go and choose to smile and be kind and bring benefit to our lives and the lives of others we encounter. Now we can set our intention to make a daily practice of this meditation to help our mindfulness develop to be more automatic. We can naturally fall into an awareness rather than falling into reaction and fear. And we'll notice big differences, big changes in our sense of peace, this sense of calm. We can be kinder to ourselves and watching how we talk to ourselves. What kind of language do we use? And how do we talk to others? Always choosing on the side of love rather than fear. If we can catch ourselves being triggered, we can take that breath and pause and choose to respond in a loving way. And we practice this meditation for ourselves. You can say to yourself, may I be free from fear. May I live in peace. May I practice choosing love. So when you're ready, gently open your eyes, rejoining the group. So I hope that you all either have or will make meditation part of your new habit and practicing that mindfulness muscle of focusing on one thing. And when you catch yourself, going off in a story, just notice it and come back and start over. There's no need to beat yourself up or have harsh judgments about it. It's part of being human. But it really does make life so much easier when we can react. Well, we can respond in a loving way rather than react in a harsh way.